It's Easter morning, and again, I'd like to just share with you some thoughts. It's interesting because I've been thinking about this video since Holy Thursday, wondering whether I should do it that night or Friday or Saturday, but it didn't quite come together until last night as I was watching Cardinal Sean on Catholic television celebrating the Vigil Mass. And I remembered that during the long readings that we have on the Easter Vigil, it's really about storytelling. So that's what I'd like to share with you this morning as we celebrate the great story of Easter and the rising of Jesus from the dead, a story that changed all of our lives. All of creation is changed because of this powerful grace that God offered to us by raising Jesus from the dead. But many of the stories that we share are Easter stories. I know in our community, as we sit around the table, the 6 of us who have served in Africa and Asia, Latin America, as well as here in the States, we often tell stories about our mission experiences, good news stories. Morning about forgiveness, and it was a real powerful Easter story. So that made me think of some of my Easter stories, and this morning on Easter Sunday I'd like to offer one to you. How God surprises us, and those are Easter graces. So I'll try to be short. When I was entering into my junior year at college, I was home each summer because I was not a professed member of the community, and I had to find a job to get money for school. I had a great job that summer. I was a carpenter, or a carpenter's assistant, a gopher, someone who goes for this and goes for that team. Just to learn how to construct houses, hoping that I could use that skill when I went overseas. And I got some good money, enough money to cover my books and other expenses for college, and I took a week off before I went back to college, and I was going to use the extra money I had for a nice week with my friends. Now, this is back in 1970, mind you. I had $20 left over, and it was wonderful. I had plans. But as I ended work that Friday, I got a letter from 2 of our confreres who were deacons and who were going to be part of a new program during graduate studies where they'd be able to go overseas for a period of time. And Joe and Frank were going to be going to the Amazon for 3 months, coming like in 2 weeks. And I would not see them when I got back to Milwaukee. They would be already in Brazil. I had $20 in my pocket, and they didn't have that many friends or benefactors here in the States. And I wondered, I could feel the call, share what I had. So I wrote 2 letters, one to Joe and one to Frank. I put a 5 spot in each because I thought, well, I'll divide it up. I'll keep 10 and I'll share the other 10 with Joe and Frank. Put it in the envelope, didn't stamp it and didn't seal it, but they were on my desk as then I went off to buy some books or other things I needed for class. And all day it bothered me. If Jesus is asking me to give all, I should really give them all, because this is the challenge for today, for me. But then how would I go and enjoy the last week of my vacation, my summer break with my friends if I had no money? By the end of the day, I took the 2 letters, took the money out, ripped them up, wrote new letters, put a 10 spot in one and a 10 spot in the other, and sent them off. And I felt good about it. I felt very free about it. But I wasn't going to have the week I planned. Monday dawned, and I was home, of course, because I had no money to go anywhere. My aunt called, my mother's youngest sister, who was a widow, who had 2 small children. Before my Uncle Johnny died, he made sure that the house was paid off because he knew his life was going to be short. So Connie was able to stay in the house, raise the 2 daughters, but she needed some maintenance. So she called and she said, "How are you doing? How's your summer?" And I told her. She said, "I heard you were a carpenter's assistant." And I said, "I was." She said, "Are you still working?" I said, "No, I've got this week off before I go back to school." She said, "That's wonderful. Could you come up and clean and paint my gutters?" Now, those were the days when we had wooden gutters. I said, "Absolutely." So I got in the car, went up, spent a day and a half cleaning her gutters, oiling them, then repainting them the next morning. That afternoon, as I finished the job, she invited me for coffee. So I went into her kitchen and we had a cup of coffee. Now, she's my godmother, and she didn't have a lot of money, but she refused to get any assistance from the state. She had a couple of part-time jobs, and I really admired her for that. And I didn't expect any money from her at all. But there was an envelope, a fat envelope, by her cup. And I said, "I hope that's not for me." She said, as she pushed it towards me, she said, "You know, if you weren't available Monday, I would have had to call a contractor, and he would have cost me so much more. So this is some money I've been putting aside to fix up the house here and there. It's yours. You deserved it." I said, "I don't really want it." She said, "Please take it." So I did take it, and I got home, and my mother was cooking, and I said to her, "Your sister gave me this envelope. I haven't opened it. I don't know what it is, but you can have it. Buy a new dress or something. I have no idea what's inside." She looked at me as she never looked before and said, "Go to your room and open it up there." Now, I was 21 years old, and my mother said, "Go to your room and open it." So I went, and I opened it. There were $41 bills. I was so humbled. I was so grateful. God did take care of me. And in taking care of me, I took care of my aunt. If I had only given Joe and Frank a 5-spot each, I would not have been home on Monday. I would have been at Nantasket Beach. I would have been down someplace on the Cape, and I would have missed this opportunity both to serve and to discover the surprising graces of God's blessings to you and I. I was impressed last night. Many of our friends on Facebook were having bonfires in the back of their houses, and their family was outside telling stories. We missed it last night. I would invite you, if you hadn't done it last night, make a bonfire tonight, this Easter night, and tell those stories, one with the other, that maybe your family members have never heard. Good news stories that make us know that Jesus is risen. It's not just a story. It's not just an ideology. It's not just a philosophy. It's much more. It's a real living person who graces us each and every day and surprises us, especially when we respond to the risk of giving all, as he did. Resurrection is real. Grace is wonderful. Have a great Easter.